Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Back in my writing laboratory here to help you out with the Washington, D.C. essays. Today we have two essays that we're going to discuss at the same time. Why? Because they're basically the same essay. Okay? Without further ado, let's check it out. We have the expository essay, also known as the informative essay in some places, also known as nonfiction in many places. Okay, so this is a nonfiction article about the Lincoln Memorial, facts and figures about the Lincoln Memorial. Remember, it's secondhand because I did not build the Lincoln Memorial and I was not there when it was built. It was opened in 1922, so it was a little bit before my time. So it's secondhand, but it is factual evidence that I researched online and put together this essay to tell you all about the Lincoln Memorial. The second one that we're going to talk about is a persuasive essay. Now, the reason why we're doing this at the same time is I used this essay in its entirety, added some bells and whistles, and added some persuasive elements, and turned it into a persuasive essay. Now, what's the difference? A persuasive essay just adds my opinion, the author's opinion, to the factual evidence, puts a little bit more myself and what I think into the writing. Okay, this has to be straight down the middle. It has to be very fact driven. This can be emotion driven, feeling driven. Okay, so let's just take a quick peek and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, now this is a 5-paragraph essay. That's a common structure for any of these essays is 5 paragraphs. The first one being the intro. You're not going to read that. Let me do this. The first one being the introduction. Tell me what you are writing about. Tell me what your thesis is. What the guts of what you're going to teach me. And then, of course, a good author adds a conclusion for the last paragraph that just basically repeats what was in the first one. Okay. So we need to make sure that we have told the reader a couple times what they're learning so that they can remember. And then we have 3 in the middle. These 3 should be related, but they should not be the same thing. Okay, so we're going to see how I did that a little bit. And really, if you think about these 3 middles, try not to think that they are going to be super hard. You want to have a main idea sentence that kind of leads the reader into what this paragraph is going to be about, and then 4 details. That's it. Okay, try to find 4 details. If you can only find 3, that's fine too. Okay, that have to do with that main idea. And then the next one will be a different main idea. That doesn't look very good like an M, but that's okay. And then try to find 4 details again. Okay, so if you think of it that way, they don't become so scary. Okay, so what is this, the main idea of the entire essay about? The title is going to tell me it's about the Lincoln Memorial, and then if I read it on, the first paragraph should be clear what we're going to be talking about. The Lincoln Memorial was built to honor our country's 16th president. It stands at one end of the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The building contains many symbols that honor the life of one of our greatest presidents and is an important place in our nation's capital. Okay, so I touched on what it is and what it does. It honors our president and it has symbols. Okay, so let's go to the main idea of this next paragraph. It says, the memorial is an impressive building that took a long time to create. Even though Congress approved the Lincoln Monument Association to create a monument, the building of the Lincoln Memorial did not begin until 1914, and it opened in 1922. The architect was Henry Bacon, and he designed the building to look like the Parthenon in Greece, which is known as the birthplace of democracy. That's why he picked it. The cost to build the memorial was $2,957,000. The building is made up of 3 chambers, 2 that have his famous speeches engraved in the wall, and the third which has a statue of Lincoln sitting at the center. Okay, so this is talking about what the building is and how long it took to build. Okay? Now I just found a little bit of a typo that I missed where they approved the Lincoln Memorial Association back in the 1860s. So that was what took so long. So I kind of missed that piece, but that's okay. Anyways, this is a rough draft, right? The next paragraph should switch the focus a little bit. It shouldn't be about how long it took, when it was built, or who built it, okay? It should be something different, okay? Let's just see what the main idea sentence says. The design of the memorial has many symbolic features that teach visitors more about Lincoln and his life. Okay, so this should be about the symbolic features, the symbols that are in the building, okay? First one, the building is surrounded by 36 columns which represent the number of states in our country when Lincoln was president. Okay, this is the reason why they don't have 37 or 35 columns or 30 columns or 40 columns. It's 36 because that's how many states he brought back together after the Civil War. The speeches engraved in the side chambers were chosen because they represented two important events during his presidency, the Gettysburg Address and his second inaugural address. An inaugural address is a speech that he makes when he is sworn in as president. So he was sworn in for a second time in 1864, and he did a speech then. It's a very powerful speech. Okay, so we're talking about the speeches and what they represent. Next, the statue of Lincoln also includes symbolism. There's a reference back to our main idea here, symbols, right? As the way he holds his hands, one relaxed and one in a fist, represents his character traits of being compassionate but strong and determined. Above the columns, 28 states are inscribed to honor the number of states in our country when the memorial was finished. That should say 48. Another typo. So they had the names of 48 of the 50 states on the memorial because that's how many there were in 1922 when it was finished. So another symbol. Okay. Now we're moving on to our third middle paragraph, our fourth paragraph altogether. And this should be something a little bit different, right? It should not be talking about the symbols or who built it, when they built it, and all that good stuff, right? So let's see what the shift is here. The memorial is a fitting tribute to one of our country's greatest presidents. Oh, this is going to be all about Lincoln, right? So the main idea is not about the memorial anymore. It's about the guy, okay? President Lincoln led the country through the Civil War. The southern states wanted to leave our country so that they could continue slavery in those states. Abraham Lincoln felt that all men were created equal, so he fought the southern states to bring our country together. The war lasted 4 years and over 600,000 men died in the war. President Lincoln was working hard to bring our country back together when he was assassinated on April 14th, 1865. So it's about Lincoln and the Civil War. Okay? I think that's what the main gist of that paragraph is. Okay? And then, again, a good author creates a conclusion that is wraps everything together. The Lincoln Memorial is an important part of our national capital, Washington, D.C., and is a symbolic tribute to one of the most important men in American history, Abraham Lincoln. So is that similar to the beginning? The Lincoln Memorial was built to honor our country's 16th president. It stands at one end of the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The building contains many symbols that honor the life of one of our greatest presidents and is an important place in our nation's capital. A lot of the same words, right? I saw nation's capital in bold. I saw where it is, D.C. I saw what it is. I saw who it's about, and I saw the word symbol. So a lot of things were repeated in the last paragraph to the first paragraph. Why? Because readers need to be reminded, right? Say it to them early and repeat it at the end and make sure that they got it. Okay? So looking back real quick, we're talking about in an expository, the middle three paragraphs. The first one was talking about the building of it, like the when, who built it, that type of stuff, right? The middle one was all about the symbols. What kind of cool things did you find about the design of your memorial? And then the last one is, who does it honor? Oh boy. Right? So if you follow this, if you are doing Thomas Jefferson, you tell me who built it, when it was built, how much it cost, what kind of symbols are in the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, and who was Thomas Jefferson Memorial. Who is Thomas Jefferson, excuse me. If you're doing the MLK Memorial, who built it, who designed it, how much did it cost, when was it opened, all that good stuff. What kind of symbols do you find in the MLK Memorial, and then who was MLK? If you follow that structure, you're going to have yourself a 5-paragraph essay. Easy peasy. All right? So that's the first one. The second one's going to be quicker because the second one is basically the same essay. You're going to see a lot of the same stuff in here with a few bells and whistles, as I like to say. Okay? So this is a persuasive. I'm going to tell you that the Lincoln Memorial is not just a memorial, it's the best memorial. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch it from being fact-driven to my opinion about the Lincoln Memorial. All right? So let's just see if I can change colors here a little bit. Okay. How fitting that the best memorial in the city of Washington, D.C. honors the best president in our history. This amazing building contains many symbols that honor the tremendous life of one of our greatest presidents and is arguably the most important place in our nation's capital. So what did we change? We just changed that it was a memorial to it was the best memorial. That it's a building to amazing building. Okay? That it honors the life, honors the tremendous life. We're adding superlative and comparative adjectives and positive adjectives, right? Best is a superlative, means it's better than all the other ones, okay? Most important place, not just an important place, it's the most important place, right? That is a superlative adjective. Okay, this place is better than all the rest. But you'll find that these facts are the same facts. Okay? These 3 paragraphs are the same 3 paragraphs with a little bit added to it. Anytime I could throw in a superlative adjective or throw in my opinion, I did. Okay? So let's see what I got here. Good things come to those that wait. So even though it took over 50 years to open, the Lincoln Memorial was worth the wait. Even though Congress approved the Lincoln Memorial Association to create a monument in the 1860s, the building of the Lincoln Memorial did not begin until 1914, and it opened in 1922. Same information. The architect was Henry Bacon, and he designed the building to look like the Parthenon in Greece, which is known as the birthplace of democracy. Same. The cost of to build the memorial was $2,957,000. Everything's the same so far. Here I'm going to add a little something. This is called a rhetorical question. This is a harder rhetorical question, but it means I'm trying to make a question that you have to answer a certain way. It says, who wouldn't shell out $3 million to honor one of our best? Okay? I'm trying to convince you that that was a good idea, that $3 million was a steal, was a good deal to honor somebody as good as Lincoln. Okay? The building is made up of 3 chambers, 2 that have the famous speeches engraved in the walls, and the 3rd that has a statue of Lincoln sitting in the center. Again, same exact stuff. So these are very similar essays, which means you can turn any expository nonfiction text into persuasive pretty easily, right? Okay, the design of the memorial has many symbolic features that teach visitors more about Lincoln and his life. The building is surrounded by 36 columns, which represent the number of states. The speeches engraved in the side chambers were chosen because they represented 2 important events during the presidency, the Gettysburg Address and his second inaugural address. Okay? I have not changed anything here. The next sentence, I have not changed anything. The next sentence, above the state column, 48 states are inscribed to honor the number of states in our country when the memorial was finished. Nothing different, but here we go. These amazing symbols shine a light on a truly great American. Amazing symbols, great American. Okay? Positive adjectives that are showing my feelings about the memorial and about Lincoln, right? Okay. Last one's all about him and the Civil War, correct? That's what I remember. The memorial is a fitting tribute to one of our country's greatest presidents. President Lincoln led the country through the Civil War. The southern states wanted to leave our country so that they could continue slavery in those states. Abraham Lincoln felt that all men were created equal, so he fought the southern states to bring our country together. The war lasted 4 years and over 600,000 men died in the war. President Lincoln was working hard to bring back our country back together when he was assassinated on April 14, 1867. The meat and the details and the facts are all the same. We just have to add some persuasive elements. And here's the last persuasive element. You need to have this in a persuasive essay. In the conclusion, it is called a call to action. It's saying, basically, now that you've learned all this, what are you going to do about it? Okay? So if you remember the water, the blue gold persuasive, after she told you all about how important water is, she told you later at the very end, listen, we have got to do something. We have got to preserve our water. Okay? So after she taught you about water, she asked you to do something. After I taught you about Lincoln and the Lincoln Memorial, I need you to do something. It's called a call to action. So what am I going to ask you to do? Without a doubt, the Lincoln Memorial is a must-see on any visit to Washington, D.C. So, and here's where I tell you what to do. So get your family in the car and head on down. You will not be disappointed with this opportunity to learn about a great American and see an amazing symbolic memorial. So the call to action is basically just head down and check it out. Okay, some call to actions are more important than others. When I'm talking about a place to visit, I'm going to ask you to go visit it. Okay, so that's the call to action. So it says, so get your family in the car and head on down. That's the call to action. So those are just a few differences between the expository and the persuasive. In green is all I added. Not a lot. So if you want to really have a passionate view about the person or the memorial, make it a persuasive. If you're not that passionate about it and you just want to learn about it and you want to tell us what you learned, then stick with the expository. But remember, the 3 middle paragraphs should be related but different. Okay, this is about the memorial, but it's about when it was built, how much it cost, who built it. This is about the memorial as well, but it's about the symbols found in the memorial. This is about the memorial as well, but it's about who and what does that memorial honor. So they're related, but they're different. Okay, so good luck. If you have any questions, let me know. 5-paragraph essay. Each one of the middles, all you need is 4, if you can find them, 4 facts to talk about the who, what symbols, and the who does it honor, right? So good luck, and we'll have one more video for you.